What's up, you guys, and welcome to a brand new episode of the Fit Women's Weekly Podcast. If this is your first time tuning in, what's up? Welcome. I hope that you enjoy what you hear and you decide to come back, listen to some previous episodes, and keep on hanging out with me for future episodes. Now, you guys, today is a Friday Fit Quickie, which means we are just doing a shorter version, answering a couple of questions that you guys have sent my way so that you can go into this weekend being like, I learned a new little nugget, something to think about when it comes to my health and my fitness and my well-being. So let's freaking do this. First off, I'm doing things a little bit different. I will be 100% transparent. I'm trying to film this at the same time, and I'm going to start posting podcasts also on the YouTube channel. So if you are somebody that likes to see things at the same time as hear things, go check it out over on YouTube. First off, I guess this is probably second off. Thank you guys so much for the support and the positive words that I heard on the previous episode, where I talk about my body dysmorphia and the struggles that I've gone through it, what it feels like, and some of the things that have helped me to learn to love myself and the body that I currently have. So thank you guys so much. It was really cool to see how many of you relate to that in some way, because we're all on different spectrums. So if you haven't listened to that episode, you might want to go back and check that. It was really raw. I was super vulnerable. We're going to answer a question based upon, I have zero energy to work out. What the heck am I supposed to do? So the thing that I want you to think about with this is, your first question should be, is it that you have zero energy to work out, or do you have zero motivation to work out? Because those two things are very, very different. If your energy is so low in the tank that you can't pick yourself up to work out, then here's a couple of things that you should consider. Number one, when's the last time that you went to the doctor? Maybe it's time to get some blood work done just to rule out if there's any underlying issues going on, something hormonal, maybe something with your cycle, which would be hormonal, maybe something metabolic going on with your thyroid. So, and I mean, that list can go on and on and on, but you want to make sure that everything is up to par, that you are healthy. And then if all of that checks out okay, ask yourself, how is your lifestyle? Are you super stressed right now? Are you getting enough sleep? Are you eating enough? I talked about this on my Instagram the other day, and somebody wrote, oh my gosh, I'm so glad that you mentioned about eating enough, because I did not realize that all of my fatigue was coming from under eating. So if you've been in a caloric deficit for a really long time, you don't physically have the energy to fuel your body. And remember, as great as food tastes, the number one reason we have to eat is because it is fuel. So if you're not eating enough, you're going to feel freaking drained. And then, are you hydrated enough? And is your nutrition balanced? Maybe you're just not eating the right kind of ratios to support your body. Everybody is different. So yes, right now I am eating zero carbohydrates, but if somebody else were to do that, they probably wouldn't be able to keep up with the volume of training that I do. And that's understandable. So don't always look at just, are you eating enough, but are you eating the right kinds of food to support the life that you want? And then of course, like I said, make sure that you are resting properly, you're getting enough sleep. That is so underrated. Even though we know how important sleep is, we still think, I don't need that much, right? But yes, you guys, you do need that much. So make sure you are getting sleep. And in your life right now, are things just super, super stressful? Is there anything that you can do to help decrease your stress? I know we always say, are you stressed out right now? As if it's supposed to be just like that, where you can decrease your stress. That's not always possible. Things are going on in life that sometimes we can't control. But look at the variables in your life that maybe you can control and try to back out of those things as much as you can. Remember, it is okay to say no to things. And if that helps you decrease stress, then go for it. Now, if all of those check out and you're like, no, I take care of myself, I am healthy, why else is working out just not working? Then my next question would be, when is the last time you consistently worked out? And I say that because remember the law of thermodynamics in high school or maybe college, where I don't remember which number law it is, the first law, second law, whatever. An object in motion stays in motion, and an object at rest stays at rest. Our bodies are inherently very lazy. They don't want to do more than they have to do. Okay. Our bodies don't want to burn energy. They want to try to conserve energy so that if something comes up where we need it, it's there. So if you haven't been working out consistently, your body's in this phase of like, I don't want to do that. I don't want to work out. And so it's really hard to get things going again, right? Just like if you are consistently working out, when you take a rest day, sometimes for a lot of us, a rest day is hard because we are in the habit of moving our bodies, and an object in motion stays in motion. So on that rest day, you're like, I feel like I have to do something. And we have to convince ourselves, no, chill out. It's a rest day. Rest days are important. Well, the same thing goes, but in the opposite direction if you haven't been working out. So what does that mean? Does that mean you're just never going to work out again? No. You have to tap into your whys. You have to sit down and ask yourself, why is it important for me to work out? Is it health? Is it weight loss? Is it strength? Is it because your doctor told you to, or you just want to because you know that you should, and you know that you'll feel good when that workout is done? Sit down, really dig deep into your psyche to figure out what your why is. And while motivation doesn't keep you going, this is the time to dig into your motivation and use it to get started. And from that, you get started. But you don't just jump in and go 0 to 100 overnight. That's why so many people give up. And that's also why you never get started, because it's so intimidating. You're like, oh my God, I haven't worked out in 3 weeks, and now I'm going to go knock out a 60-minute workout. No, hold up. Don't do that. Instead, start small. Start realistically knowing what you can handle right now. Maybe that's a 10-minute workout. And that's what I tell a lot of my clients. Just start with 10 minutes. Even if you're doing somebody else's workouts, like one of mine on Fit Women's Weekly, where I do 30-minute workouts and 60-minute workouts every day. And you're like, oh, that's just too much. I haven't been consistent right now. Hit the play button and just knock out as much as you can in 10 minutes and then move on with your day. That way in your head, you're like, I know that I can do this. And when that 10 minutes is done, you get the satisfaction of knowing that you can mark it off the list and you succeeded at what your goal was. Sometimes we think that if we have this goal to work out for 60 minutes and we only work out for 10 minutes, that we're a failure, right? So go into it doing less than you really want to do, but that less is going to be an automatic success. And do that for a couple of weeks where you can consistently work out 2 to 3 times a week. Again, start small. You don't want to totally overload yourself in the amount of days you work out either. And then maybe each week add on either an extra day or 5 extra minutes to your workout. And then over time, your body, guess what, is going to be in motion and it is going to itch to stay in motion. So you're building that momentum up. You're no longer using the excuse of like, I have no energy. And I know right now, especially it's hard because it gets dark later. Maybe you get home and that's your only time to work out. And you're like, oh my God, but it's already dark outside. But before you go put on your pajamas, automatically change out of your work clothes into your fitness clothes, set the timer for 10 minutes and go for it. Now that doesn't mean you can't go over the 10 minutes. So let's say that you have this goal to work out for 10 minutes 3 times a week, but your day has gone really well. You feel really good. You hit the play button on your workout or whatever workout you have written down for yourself. You get to the 10 minutes and you're like, I have more in the tank. Okay, well, go for it. Go. Doesn't mean that you need to go till you empty the tank out, but give yourself an extra 5 or 10 minutes. And then evaluate yourself. Be like, okay, I feel great. I feel accomplished. I'm done for the day. Or maybe you say, okay, I have another 5 or 10 minutes left. It's so much harder to simply get started than it is to keep going, which again, brings back the whole law of dynamics. Once you get going, it's easier to keep going and then you're going to feel accomplished. So really start small, set small goals. You can always add to it through time. The number one rule of getting back into a fitness habit after you've taken some time off is to create the habit, to be consistent. So there you go. And then the second thing that I wanted to talk about, especially as we're going through the holidays, I had a client reach out to me and was like, hey, I've really been tracking my food. I've been feeling great. However, with all of these holiday parties, I'm having a hard time sticking to it. And I feel like I'm throwing everything out the window when the weekend comes around. What do you recommend for that? So there are a couple of things that I recommend. First off, I do want to clarify the fact that we get this idea of like, oh my God, during the holidays, I don't want to gain weight. The studies show that most people gain on average 1 to 3 pounds during the holiday season, which is not a lot. And if you go right back to your normal habits in January, and you focus a little bit more on your food intake, then you're going to be fine, you guys. But what happens is that most people over time, they gain that 1 to 3 pounds during the holidays, and then they never work to get that off. And it just builds up year after year. And so that's where like the holiday weight idea comes in. So if you do want to focus right now on staying on track with your nutrition, making sure that your health is a priority during the holiday season, how can you manage that with the parties going on? Rule number one, don't starve yourself before the parties go on. I have heard so many times, and my own mother is like the queen of this. She knows that if she has a party at night, she just won't eat during the day because she knows she's going to overindulge a little bit at nighttime. That is not the mentality to have. You want to make sure that you're at least giving yourself a little bit of food throughout the day so that you're not starving by the time you get to that party and you end up eating like anything and everything, right? Make sure that you're eating really high quality protein before you go. And then I like to ask myself, what is it that I'm craving at this event? For example, in a week and a half, we are going to a pizza party. So I know we're going to be focusing on eating a lot of pizza, which means I'm going to be focusing on not drinking so much so that I'm kind of balancing out with more of the pizza intake versus pizza and drinks, where then I'm going to feel doubly bad. For me, it's not so much about taking in the calories. It's about how I'm going to feel. And that's what I remind myself going into a party, where I know that if I eat all the pizza and I drink all the beer or the wine, and then I eat the desserts, I'm going to feel triply crappy the next day and just feel blah, right? Not because I feel guilty over the foods that I ate, just physically, it doesn't feel good when you normally eat healthy. So kind of put those thoughts into your head and be like, okay, I'm going to this party and I'm excited for this. So focus on that item and then back off of the other items that aren't so exciting to you. The other thing that I recommend is that people know when I come to a party, my husband comes to a party, we're going to bring healthy stuff, and they don't get their feelings hurt if I don't eat their sides. Like I'll probably eat their steak or their chicken or whatever the main dish is, but we're going to have some sort of vegetable side to bring with us. And I should also preface this. This is before this carnivore experiment. I'm just talking how most of you guys will understand it. And they don't get their feelings hurt. They know this is the lifestyle and it's not an insult to them. It's just about us feeling the best that we can feel. The other thing that I recommend, kind of going back to the idea of focusing on what excites you. If you know you're going to be going to a restaurant and you're really excited for the dessert menu, then skip out on the appetizer, and vice versa. If you love the appetizers, go with the appetizer and either skip out on the dessert or share it. And that goes with anything. Don't be afraid to like share your food. That's kind of the rule that Dan and I follow. Also the rule that one of my best friends, Alex, and I follow when we go out to eat, so that we don't feel like totally stuffed. We indulge in the foods that we want, but we split it between the two of us. And it also means that you get to try some new stuff. And then estimate when you are trying to track. So if you're like, no, I've been tracking really religiously lately, I feel really good about it. When you go out someplace or you're going to a friend's house for a holiday party, you're not going to be able to track perfectly, but this is the time that you do want to just try to do the best that you can. And if you guys want me to do an entire podcast episode on how to track using MyFitnessPal, how to estimate things when you're going to special events, let me know. But simply do the best that you can. You're probably, obviously, don't be one of those people that takes the scale with them to a restaurant or to a party. At that point, it's okay to be like, this is the palm size of my hand, which is probably about 1/4 of a cup. It's okay. All right. But at the end of the day, everything balances out. So if you eat a little too much one day, chances are you're going to be full and you're going to eat a little bit less the next day. And I always want to stress that is that nutrition is not solid black and white from one day to the next. It is a wave. You're going to go over sometimes, you're going to come under sometimes, and that's okay. And there's going to be days where maybe you can't stick to your macros perfectly, but in that case, you want to look more at the food pyramid, not quote unquote the food pyramid, but in terms of like the macro pyramid of focusing on your calorie intake is the number one. After that, you want to try to hit your protein intake, and then the other macros kind of fall into place, but that might be a little hard to do. So on those days, instead of trying to focus so much on getting your protein, your carbs, your fat, make the calorie goal your number one goal. Again, doing the best you can, depending on what events you're going to that day. And just don't beat yourself up over it sometimes. Don't make things, we have gotten into such a phase in life because there's so much information around us that we try to overcomplicate it. But things do not have to be overcomplicated. So enjoy yourself. You're able to say, like, in your head, even if you don't want to track, this is a good choice. This is going to make me feel crappy, and go from there. Those are the questions that I ask myself. It's not so much of, is this good or bad food? It's, how will this food make me feel? Does that sound good, you guys? All right, so that's our Friday Fit Quickie. It was a little bit longer than normal, but if you like this episode, please make sure to subscribe to the podcast. If you're watching this on YouTube, subscribe to the channel. This is a brand new channel. I'm moving everything from my previous Kendall Boyle channel over here. And comment down below, what is your favorite food to eat during the holidays? I personally love eggnog. I know that's not something you eat, that's something you drink, but I've been craving a cup of eggnog, so I can't wait to go to my parents' house in a few weeks and sip it up on Christmas Day. That's going to be great. We don't keep it in my house because I don't drink, like, it's not something I want all the time, but I do crave that one big glass of eggnog on Christmas morning, and I'm pretty stoked about it. Oh, and my grandfather's homemade fudge. That's pretty delicious too. He's passed away, but my mom still makes it every year, and it's just to die for. All right, guys, have an amazing day. On the next podcast, I'm going to talk about my Fit Christmas guide to help you decide on the perfect gifts for either yourself or for other people that love fitness, love kettlebells in your life. All right, bye.